What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we are covering for the Premier League this time, match day 14. We're starting to really tick through the Premier League season now. We've obviously had, a couple of games playing with their midweek games in terms of European football, which I'll be discussing. On the left hand side is the current standings of the Premier League Prediction League. Finally, you've got an update. Ethan is still leading the way and it's looking like he's going to be very difficult to stop at this point. I'm only just in the top 10. Really got to start picking my momentum right about now. It's going to be difficult, but I am always willing for a challenge. If you guys like what you see, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel when you do that. Also, if you've not done so, please hit the subscribe button as well. We've had a bit of a dip in subscribers recently, sadly, but we can still try and push on for 2,000 subscribers. That would be the ultimate achievement for this channel. If you can help get me there, that would be absolutely amazing. And please also share the channel too. That also helps as well. But without any further ado, let's start going through my Premier League predictions. First game to predict for me is Leicester versus Manchester City. A peculiar choice for an early Premier League game, but I actually think this one will be a bit more trickier to predict because Leicester have improved their form. They've won back-to-back games and they are out of the bottom three now because of their consistent results. They face a Manchester City team where the pressure is really going to be on them. If Manchester City pick up a win in this game here, they go ahead of Arsenal at the top, and then the pressure will be on Arsenal to see if they can back that up with a game against Nottingham Forest, who also are improving in form as well. So both of the top two will have some very tough competition. Man City did play Dortmund in midweek, which they managed to draw, a 0-0 draw. Riyad Mahrez again missing from the penalty spot, and the thing that I'm concerned about for Man City's chances is potentially Haaland being injured. Who will they manage to bring in to get that same level of goal contributions? I'm sure De Bruyne, if he's available, he would definitely have a great impact there. I think Grealish has improved this season as well. I just think as a general, even if they lose like their star player, they've got enough options on the bench to even do as much of the work as, what all the other teams in the Premier League would do. Manchester City's squad is clearly, for me, like in a stratosphere level in depth right now. As a prediction, I'm still going to go for Manchester City win despite the limitations they may have and despite Leicester improving as well. I think this is just going to be a really tough game for Leicester here. I'll go for a 3-1 away win to Manchester City, but if Leicester do pick up a result, it's going to show that Leicester have really improved, and it means that they'll definitely be playing for the turnaround of Brendan Rodgers. I'll go for a 3-1 victory. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict in terms of the Premier League is Bournemouth versus Tottenham Hotspurs. So, Bournemouth have done all right, but however, they have had back-to-back defeats. Of course, they had a very long unbeaten run with Gary O'Neill in charge as their manager, but recently they've lost 1-0 to Southampton, their rivals, or local rivals at least, and then they also followed that up with a 2-0 defeat to West Ham, which was a bit controversial. They had some penalty decisions and some key decisions going against Bournemouth's favour there. So I do think Bournemouth, I felt, were a little bit given, not a mark of justice there. I definitely think Bournemouth did play better than the scoreline suggested for them there. Spurs have been peculiar, so they've had back-to-back defeats now, and they've been unbeaten for a lot of this season. But in their last 5 games, they've actually snuck in all of their defeats so far. Spurs have had 3 defeats in their last 5 matches, which I think is showing a bit of a concern. And once again, they did not manage to get a win in their Champions League game when they were 1-0 down to Sporting. They were denied a last-minute winner for a very tight offside rule, and definitely a very, very controversial decision. But regardless, for me, that is still not another win in the Champions League, and it's not helpful because had Spurs wrapped up Champions League qualification, they could have potentially given one game a bye and potentially rest up some of the players, because I definitely think player welfare has been heavily tested with these intense Premier League players, and with a World Cup coming up as well, these players are going to be absolutely shattered. So I do sympathise with Spurs and a lot of these teams are definitely struggling with that. It's going to be a very good period for us neutral fans, but for the physical and mental mind of all the players, it's going to be probably their toughest point in their careers. with a prediction here, I think because Bournemouth have not conceded many goals recently, I think it'll be a low-scoring game, and with Antonio Conte's style of play, we don't see many goals going in their games either. Could be 0-0, but I'm going to edge Spurs to bounce back. I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 win to the away side. I think they may just have enough to crack open Bournemouth's defence. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Brentford versus Wolves. This is very peculiar for me because Wolves, of course, are now 19th place. They made the decision that they're going to stick with Stephen Davis, their assistant manager, till 2023. That might not be the best of decisions. They've only won one game in their last 5 matches so far. Brentford, after starting pretty well, they've not really kicked on too much since then. They lost their latest game that they had against Aston Villa, and pretty embarrassingly as well, a 4-0 defeat that they had to Aston Villa. So I definitely think they're definitely going to want to try and bounce back in this game. For a prediction, something tells me I think Wolves might try and graft out for a point here, and I think they'll get it. I just think for Wolves, their biggest problem is them not scoring enough goals. But I think as a whole, defensively, definitely not as strong as last year. But if they can keep it together, they can get a result. I'll go for a 1-1 draw, actually, because I'm definitely not underestimating the firepower and the improvement I'm seeing in Brentford's attack. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is Brighton versus Chelsea. Now, this is the reunion that Graham Potter is going to potentially dread, because Brighton, with De Zerbi in charge, have looked pretty good with their style of play. But it's one of those examples, again, with a team not getting a result that they deserve. They've had 3 defeats, Brighton, in their last 5, and actually have not won a game of football since Graham Potter left as well, which does cause a concern for me for Brighton moving forward, to be honest. Graham Potter with Chelsea, he's giving us a bit of an unbeaten run at the moment. Not as consistent in the winning department I might potentially like, to be honest, but we did manage to beat RB Salzburg with some true grit. We have qualified for the knockout stage, which is brilliant for Chelsea Football Club there. And Brighton are a very peculiar team. At the start, when we played against Brighton their first season, we've made Brighton look quite easy. But after that, Brighton are always a tough challenge, especially at the Amex as well. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. For some reason, I just don't have enough confidence in Chelsea to get 3 points here. And I think Brighton players will be well up for it due to the manner of Graham Potter leaving them. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Crystal Palace versus Southampton. So both these teams in around a middle part of the table. Crystal Palace in 13th place, doing all right, but then they had a defeat quite recently against Everton. A pretty embarrassing 3-0 defeat on their part there. Pretty convincing for them there. Southampton have gone through 3 games unbeaten, which is great, including a win against Bournemouth, as I previously mentioned when previewing Bournemouth. But with their other games, they've drawn 2 home games. So it was 1-1 against Arsenal, which was a great result, and also against West Ham. With their away games, they've not been as impressive. So it's difficult for me to back Southampton here, but for the fact they played so well against Arsenal, if they even carry an ounce of that into this game, considering how poor Palace were against Everton as well, with all of that combined, it would make sense for an unpredictable league for Palace to bounce back completely and Southampton lose. But based on what I've seen recently, I've got a bit more faith in Southampton actually. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory. Don't normally back Southampton, but I'm going to do it this time. Let me know what you think of that prediction in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Newcastle versus Aston Villa. Now this is really interesting. So obviously Newcastle's still doing really well. They are in the top 4 ahead of Chelsea, ahead of Manchester United, ahead of Liverpool of course as well. They've done really well. They've only lost 1 game so far this season, which was a very controversial defeat against Liverpool as well. They face a Villa team which, you would argue with their 4-0 victory they had against Brentford when Gerrard left, they've now got a new lease of life. They've got a brand new manager in Unai Emery taking over as well to pay off him from Villarreal by playing his full release clause. This is a very peculiar appointment, and I think giving Emery enough time, he might work wonders with Villa. I'm not particularly blown away, but I am happy to see him back in the Premier League, and I think it's a very ambitious appointment actually. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a Newcastle win still. I feel like we've had to take Newcastle seriously this season. Even with injuries, I just think they still got enough plan B options to potentially make sure they get 3 points out of it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Newcastle. I think it'll be close though, so if it wasn't 2-1, it probably would have been 2-2. I think it's going to be a very open game. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is Fulham versus Everton. Now, I vision goals with this game. You know, with Fulham having a great goal scorer in their hands at the moment with Alexander Mitrovic, who's taking the Premier League by storm compared to other seasons I've seen Mitrovic play in the Premier League in the past. You know, most of the time looking very, very confused and just getting on the wrong place. But he's definitely matured and has gotten himself into a really, really promising and consistent striker as well. He's definitely been the biggest contribution of Fulham being up in the top 7, which is incredible for Fulham to be right up there in the table at this stage of the season. Everton, I still think, need to have a bit more to kick on. They had those 3 defeats in a row, of course, but then Everton responded very well with a 3-0 victory over Crystal Palace. I think it's the first time they actually won by more than 3 goals in over 2 years, which is absolutely crazy that Everton have not really been able to blow teams away like they commonly used to. I do think with this game between Fulham and Everton here, I think it'll be open. I think Fulham being at home might give them a small advantage. I think Lampard will be motivated, you know, with a Chelsea versus Fulham, you know, West London connections there. I'm going to go for a Fulham win. I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory. I think we'll see goals. I think both teams defensively, you know, not top class, especially Everton's. I don't think their defence is particularly great. I think Everton have improved with their goal scoring form, and I think for the fact that we've definitely seen that Fulham can score, I think we're going to see 2 open teams. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Liverpool versus Leeds United. Now, honestly, I'd be a bit scared if I was a Leeds fan if I were you. Dropping like a stone since beating Chelsea very, very comfortably in game week 3 of their season. Leeds have just struggled. 4 consecutive defeats, 9 points. That's the joint lowest points so far this season. 2 points behind Leicester, who now occupy 17th place, which is, of course, you know, outside the relegation zone. What Leeds have got to do is find enough options just to take enough of their chances. They're lacking that balance. You know, at the start of the season, I felt their balance from defence to attack was rather good. But it's like if they take a couple of their key members out of the squad and some of them get injured, then all of a sudden the team just completely crumbles. And they really need to try and find a way to resolve that, because it will cause issues if they don't sort it out. Liverpool will not be easy. Of course, they've managed to win in their Champions League game as well and qualify for the last 16 also. And I personally think at Anfield, I think Leeds have just got a really, really tough game for them, unfortunately. Not playing with much confidence. Liverpool on their day can really, really punish teams at Anfield. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 4-0 victory to Liverpool. I don't think it'll be a pretty one, and it could spell the doom for Jesse Marsch as well. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Now, I've already mentioned about Arsenal playing against Nottingham Forest, who have actually improved their form. They're still 20th place in the table and rock bottom, but they have managed to pick up 5 points in their last 4 games, which is over a point per game. And that normal point per game ratio does confirm you survival in the Premier League. It's just crazy to them that they've got a mountain to climb. You know, it's a really competitive on a free for 20th place to already have 9 points at this stage of the season. It's proving to me that it's a really unpredictable section of the table this year, and I'm really, really pleased about that. Arsenal, for me, showing a bit of vulnerabilities. 1-1 against Southampton in the weekend and losing to PSV 2-0 in the Europa League also. Defence is not looking as secure as it has been. Injuries have definitely not helped Arsenal either. So it's not like that Man City or Spurs or Chelsea are just having these problems. A lot of these teams are having these problems, unfortunately for them there. It's just, what have they got in their reserves to cover up those loss of their asset? And I think Arsenal have got options, but I don't think they are going to give as much value as what Manchester City and potentially Chelsea will have as well. I think still, as a prediction, I think Arsenal will have enough. I think Forest may go in this game with the intention of trying to play for a point or go and hit Arsenal in the break, which they can be vulnerable to. But I think Arsenal will naturally still get enough chances with the style that they play. I'll therefore go for a 2-0 victory to Arsenal. I think it'll be relatively comfortable actually. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And the final game to predict is Manchester United versus West Ham. Both have managed to win their game in their respective competitions, with the Europa League for Man United and the Conference League for West Ham. Both have managed to qualify today in terms of going into the next round as well. So congratulations to both of those teams. Now going into the weekend, Manchester United definitely need to continue this unbeaten run of 4 matches so far, and I actually think against Chelsea, especially in that first half, they did look good. I think a problem with them, which by the looks of things, is that they are lacking that experience in terms of breaking low block teams down. I definitely think having the patience but having the versatility to try and stretch teams is what Manchester United need to try and figure out. West Ham have naturally improved their form so much that they're now in the top half of the table, incredibly. You know, we remembered West Ham being right down there in the bottom 3, and it tells you, as I mentioned already with Forest, how close this table is, where West Ham 2 game weeks back, you know, right in the mix of the bottom 3, but it shows what good momentum will get you, and it is very, very rewarding. But West Ham do have to try and keep it at that level, and I think that will be their trickiest challenge, honestly. As a prediction, I think with Manchester United being at home with the squad they've got, I'm going to edge them, but only just. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home victory. I think it'll be a very, very close game, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, that is my Premier League predictions done. So if you want to get involved in the prediction league, guys, make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below. That will really, really help in terms of the competitiveness of the prediction league. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Please do hit that subscribe button if you've not done so. It does really help the growth of this channel. Please also share the channel too. This also really helps as well. That'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. If you saw the end of this video, as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.